Powered by Riverside.
Hey guys, welcome to Cars and Health Bars. On today's episode, I'm joined by my lovely wife on this episode. Unfortunately, Jordan had to stay late at the shop. You mechanics kind of know how that can be. Of course, a job can turn into a 2 hour job and turn into a 6 hour job, a 6 hour job and turn into a week long job. But with that being said, like I said a second ago, I'm joined, of course, by my lovely wife. How are you doing tonight, wife? That's good. So I kind of want to still play on the same format that we typically do with Jordan. I want to, of course, do a half a cars topic and half a gaming topic, and I kind of want to dip into your perspective of what it's like being with a car enthusiast, and mainly, I guess, I want to know how it's changed your perspective on cars, like, and because you do ask questions a lot, and it's very adorable whenever you ask, like, what's that car part? What's this car part? What's this? What's that?
Yeah, sorry. I'm still trying to figure all this thing out, like this whole setup thing out. My bad. It's definitely a game changer. I mean, especially whenever you first started getting into it, it was a really hard thing to kind of struggle with. I mean, it does have its ups and its downs. I will say I have most definitely like learned a lot more from you than probably what I care to, but I mean, I still support you in it no matter what. It's a great thing to kinda see how, how you started off and then how you've just grown overall, I guess, in knowledge and everything. Um, like I said, I've learned quite a bit, but I don't know. It's just a lot different compared to, like, what we used to do.
I know you've even picked up your own kind of vehicle that you want to have, and I want to kind of know, because at first it was Jeeps, and I kind of, you got a pretty hot preference on what kind of Jeeps you like, and I think we could branch off into that, into kind of your preference in vehicles.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I hate Jeep trucks. Don't even get me started on that. They're just terrible. Terrible. They should all be like, just wiped off the face of the earth. It's terrible. I hate them. 'Em.
What do you hate about them so much?
They're ugly.
It's just unnatural to see a bed on the back of a Jeep.
It's just the build and everything, like, it's just I mean, I get Jeeps don't have, like, the best gas mileage, and I can only imagine how much worse it gets with, like, a bed with the bed of the truck added on because of, like, I guess, like, wind resistance or some shit like that. I don't even know how well that, like, plays into it, but I hate him. I hate him with a passion. They all should be burned and annihilated, and they shoulda never became a thing.
Okay, so we have your hot take. Now, with that very weird thing being said, because it not necessarily goes both ways, but you also are a big Jeep fan, and I feel like that's what has to do a lot with your passion of hating Jeep trucks, because you are whenever it comes to four wheel vehicles, you are a Jeep enthusiast, because you, of
I
course.
I feel like that's a bit of a stretch. I do like Jeeps, but I think it's just because of, like, the old memories I had when I was younger, and, like, me and my dad would go, like, riding around with, like, the top off, the Jeep like, his, I think it was, like, a 1987 Jeep or something like that, I don't know, I know it was an older Jeep, and that was probably, like, one of my most memorable, like, moments. I honestly believe that that's probably why I like Jeep so much is just because of those fond memories that I have.
Yeah, a lot of people feel like that. They become attached to a certain vehicle because of the memories growing up, and they even seek out those vehicles. It is it's a beautiful thing, and yeah, I do hope someday we can get our hands on that Jeep and hopefully restore it. That'd be a fun project for uh, for us to do together. I know, and you've seen me try to restore my '82 Camaro, and it's just I mean, and you see yourself, it's a lot of work. I mean, I granted I don't put every day of my life into that car, but I mean, I've been wrenching on that thing for 2 3 years now.
Oh, I know. I know, but it's amazing to see the progress that you've made on it, honestly, I'm astounded.
I just hope that if you feel like doing something like that, it'd be cool to restore that Jeep or do whatever it needs done to it to get it back on the road. I know it would make you very happy to see that live again.
Oh, absolutely, especially if our daughter could experience, like, the same memory I kind of had.
Yeah, definitely. So, I will say one thing that's kind of cool that is like now that you ride around with me and I'm like, oh man, that's a Mustang or that's a Fox body. I mean, even like last tonight we saw that Fox body. It's kind of cool to see that brush off on you, like you identifying vehicles that you see riding around on the highway. It's kind of cool to see you start to pick that up. Even though it doesn't benefit you at all, you're just like, oh, did you see
Imma
that much?
Imma be honest, I just like duking on 'em with you.
Yeah, it is funny to see you bleed into like the making fun of Challengers and Chargers for being boats and Mustangs for killing crowds. It's fun to do that with you.
It is. It's definitely, like, something only, like, specifically you and I can do, I feel like, because whenever I try to do it with, with one of my other friends or anything, and we're riding in a car, and I'm like, "Oh, crowd killer," or I'll, like, drive past, like, a boat, and I'll play, like, a really loud, like, pirate pirate sound, and it'll be, like, a pirate and the audio saying, "Ahoy, matey," or something, or just something ridiculous like that, and they'll just kinda look at me like I'm stupid, and I'm just like, "Look, you don't get it," but I'm sure if my husband was here, he would, and we'd die laughing about it.
Oh, absolutely. So kind of before we get too far away from what we were talking about a second ago, I would say I've gone through a lot of phases being an enthusiast. Because I mean, I started out well. I guess I didn't really start out being an enthusiast because I had a very basic Chevy Colorado, but from there, I got into my lifted truck phase, and then I started out kind of I would say I was more focused on, like, making a car look good with my V6 Camaro, and then
Mhm.
now with the V8 Camaro, it's all about horsepower, and, of course, the 3rd gen's kinda that way. With all the vehicles that I've owned and you've been with me for all of them. Which vehicle was your favorite?
Honestly, I like the V8 you have. It's fun, like, I know sometimes it scares me whenever you go, we're at a stop, and then you just book it, and you, like, do, like, a weird drifting thing or whatever. But, I really do, like, enjoy it, and then, like, whenever we're at, like, stoplights or something and we see, like, a car next to us and they're kinda like how you all kinda do, like, that weird looking thing, and then I'll do, like, the weird, like, hand motion where I'm like, "Go." Like, "Take 'em to Gapplebee's, babe." And it's pretty fun. So I enjoy the time that we have with that, and I'm sure Bella does too, and I think that's honestly something that I like a lot more, is that it's also, like, Bella's also being, like, included into it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know you get excited about that. Like a lot of the times, you necessarily don't like the negative attention that my car draws. Sometimes, especially if it's just like nobody's around. But I know whenever there's like another car like eyeing us down, you're like, we got to show up, show off. I'm like, yes.
We sure do, buddy. Let me tell you. We are looking like no sissies.
Oh my
Not out
god.
here. Not out here, brother.
So I do want to know if you had And it can go back to what we were talking about before. If you had your, no budget whatsoever, what would be a car that you would want to have? It can be one that needs to be restored. It could be old, new. What would you want to have for yourself if you were if you were to become an enthusiast? Kind
Okay,
of the level I'm at.
this is gonna be kinda weird, but, like, bear with me.
Okay.
This is, like, a huge, like, weird thing. Okay, so you remember whenever we all would play, Wreckfest together, and
Yeah.
we had the hearse in the back with the coffins, and we'd always go around, like, in that game?
Yeah.
That race, I want one so bad. I want a hearse
Oh
so
my
bad.
God.
I need it, but I know that it's not really feasible because, again, just absolutely terrible gas mileage, and, oh my god, like, I would love to have that as kinda like my little racing vehicle like you have, and have, like, a casket in the back with, like, a skeleton doing, like, the, like, rock thing with the hands, like, the rock symbol thing with it
Yeah.
in the back, just vibing out, dude, just vibing out. That
Yeah.
would probably be my favorite.
I could definitely see you, rolling around in a hearse. That would definitely fit, like, the lifestyle you've been living here lately.
Oh, listen, Rob Zombie would be blaring 24/7.
It's crazy too because I mean, they put V8s in those things. They're not, I mean, yeah, they're heavy, but, you gotta think you got some power too. It wouldn't take much to kinda make one. No, I wouldn't say fast, but not slow either.
Yeah,
It'd be fun, and, depending on what you do, if you put a coffin back there, or what you do with that back half, I mean, you could have a fun little car and look really cool doing it. I mean, War
we
Wagon and Breakfast is, like, my favorite vehicle.
we could follow around the crowd killers.
Oh my god. Whenever they
Don't know.
die wrecking into a crowd, we'll got a
That's right,
casket ready to go.
period. Get in, buddy. We're going for the ride of your, well, non-existent life now, but just hang on tight.
So I have a question for kind of, just in case we have any, women listening, or even, the car guys here, as a woman, going to, like, go get your oil changed or whatever, that's something that you don't really have to worry about anymore because, of course I take care of all that. Is that something that you kind of, like, I wouldn't necessarily say appreciate because I don't want to make it seem like I'm holding, anything in a weird position. But,
Yeah,
like, does it make you feel more comfortable because you don't have to go, answer questions like, I'm sure that they'd be like, "What kinda
most
oil do you want in
definitely.
there?"
Most definitely, because when people look at me and they're like, "What kinda oil do you want?" I'm like, "I have no idea." But, I mean, I'm pretty sure I could point out, like, I don't listen, I don't know. It definitely makes me feel a lot better because I don't do good in situations like that just because I'm like, I don't know what kinda oil. I guess just whatever you have," kinda thing. Y Definitely having you there and, you being knowledgeable on it, I guess, makes it a lot better, but I don't know. I just I just don't like people overall, so
Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, I'm the same way. Whenever it says you need to, go inside and pay at the gas pump, I'm like, "Nope, we're running out of gas."
period. Like, I would rather, like I don't wanna be stranded on the side of the road because people, but I also don't wanna have to walk in and go talk to, whoever the fuck's running the station and being like, "Yeah, I need gas," and the pump's not letting me. I can't do all that. No, I got places to be. I ain't got no time. Just let me get it and go.
Get it and go.
Let me get it and go. If I can't get it from that pump, I will dr I have done this before. I will drive around to the opposite side of the pump or drive around to a different pump until I find one that lets me. And if I can't find one that lets me, I just drive off to a different gas station because I don't like human interaction that much.
That's yeah, honestly. Uh, so I guess, without spending too much time on the cars topic, I do want to roll on over to the gaming topic before we run out of time because, that's something that we can communicate a little bit more about because, you've been playing video games for, a long time now, and we've definitely played a lot of games together. Uh,
Mhm.
I guess we can kind of start on that. What are we've been playing video games ever since we got together. In 2016. Uh, I want to know some of your favorite memories, or even in general, just like your favorite games that we've played together and spent a lot of time together. What comes to your mind? Because I've got a few that
Oh,
come to my
buddy.
mind.
Okay, so I mean, I have kind of like separate categories for this. So like memory wise would probably be like back on like Call of Duty. I think it was on PlayStation 3,
I'm talking about that me and you
I
shared.
think. Oh, okay, my bad. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Um
you're good.
so like things that I mean I mean also Call of Duty too. But whenever we would play Black Ops 3, that was really fun. I think by, like, what, round 4 to 6, we would already have all of that done.
Oh, it'd be
All of
4.
the Yeah, all of the stuff with, like, the Margwa and everything done on Black Ops 3. That was really fun, getting to do that and having the Wonder Weapon already. Like, we zoomed through all of that.
Yeah, we got really good at that. That's like the game that we grinded the most.
Mhm.
I think back to whenever we first moved in together, and this is back whenever 7 Days to Die was still on console. I mean, this is
Oh,
like
yeah.
way back, and we had two TV screen, which we moved in together, so we both naturally had TVs from living with our parents, and we had this long dresser that's got the two two sides, so that was just enough room to have two separate 32-inch TVs. We butted them against each other. Like we had split screen, but not really because we had two different screens and running everything off our hotspot, two Xboxes, two TVs. And oh my God, I wish I could boot that world up because God, we were probably on like day 700 or something. It was just insane the amount of hours we put into 7 days back then.
Oh, I know. That was fun too, though. But I think one of the biggest things for me is once we hit that point in like survival games, it just gets boring for me and I just kind of get like burned out.
Yeah, I
I think that
understand.
was probably one of the biggest things for me.
Yeah, I speaking of survival games, and I didn't think of that until you just said something, but Grounded was a lot of fun to play with you.
Oh, yes. I don't know, man. I had some nightmares about some of those spiders. The freaking wolf spiders and the orb weavers. No thanks. That was And I know it has, like, a setting on there where, like, you can turn it down to where it's just, like, a big white blob, but I feel like that just kinda took away from, like, the experience of, like, just I don't know, for me, it took away the experience of being absolutely horrified and having nightmares on end, but, I mean, it's something you just gotta kinda roll with, I guess.
Yeah, Ark is another game that me and you both spent a lot of time on.
Oh my gosh, I know, Ark was fun. I didn't like dying right off the bat. And there was at one point I spawned in on the wrong island on the map, and as soon as I spawned in, I turned around and there was a freaking raptor behind me and I died instantly. I was like, "Well, this is just this is terrible." And I just had to keep respawning in.
I know you liked you definitely like just having animals, just having the different dinos, giving them names. I know one of your favorite tames was the platypus, the giant flattened
Yes.
platypus.
Oh my gosh, I loved that thing. That is pro and then I had one named Socks too.
What was
That one was
socks? Was it a platypus too?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, Socks was a
I
platypus.
couldn't remember. I know we
It was
also
my
had
favorite.
whatever those raptors that would shoot the
Oh, yeah, the oh, what are those?
it starts with a V. It's like a velocity raptor kind of, but like it's kind of spelled weird. I don't think it's velocity, but it kind of looks like it.
I don't know, I just work here.
Yeah.
Well, I don't work here, but I live here, but that's
Uh I want to talk about a game that me and Jordan talked about in the previous episode, maybe even 2 episodes. Uh, but me and you've been playing a lot of Phasmophobia, and that game, golly, that game's been so much fun here lately. I'm really glad I got into it. I'm glad me and you both got into it. It's just so much fun to play, and oh man, I'm branching off of that. We're coming up on Halloween season, which is your favorite time of year. Uh, what are some, like, scary games? I mean, this goes back to, like, Outlast, and, I mean, you've played a lot of scary games. What are some, games that you recommend, our viewers try out this holiday season if they're trying to get some spooks into their, gaming lifestyle this time of year?
Imma be honest, I've just been mainly hooked on Dead by Daylight and Phasmophobia, but some other games, I mean, well, crap, I don't really know, to be honest, because 'cause I've just been so focused on those. The Forest is really good, but I wouldn't really consider it, like, spooky. Is it intense and kinda, like, hard going? A little bit, yeah, but, I mean, it's another game that I really enjoy. Um, and I know this game's been out for a while. It was probably one of my most favorite games that I've it's probably one of the games that really got me, like, kickstarted into gaming, and that would be The Last of Us. I will die on that hill. I absolutely love that game. That is probably one of my most and I can't play the second one. I can't bring myself to play the second one because I know what happens. It got spoiled for me, and I refuse to believe it. But The Last of Us is definitely one that I would really, like, enjoy and recommend to anybody who would want to play. I guess kind of like a it's intense in in some parts of the game. It is kind of intense.
Yeah, how did the show compare to the movie or the, game in your opinion? Did they do pretty well meshing in the game, or was there some things that were kinda left out or changed that made you feel less nostalgic?
I mean, I enjoyed watching the show. I feel like I wish I would have gotten to see more of, like, the zombies, like, them actually fighting off the zombies and having to go through, like, all of that instead of like, I appreciate the storyline, don't get me wrong, like, it was a good storyline. I just wish it had a little bit extra, like, added into it in order for it to kinda, like, get pulled off well, I guess. I mean, it's not that it wasn't pulled off well. It very well was. It just I wish more would have been done or could have been added to it, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair. Being somebody that hasn't played it, it was fun watching it with you, which, you had played it because, every scene that was kind of iconic to the game, it was fun to kind of watch you react to like, "Oh my god, this is in the game." Like this exact thing, like the giraffe scene was, perfect case in point of that. The I guess it was no, it wasn't the end. It wasn't close to the end. It was kind of close to the middle. And also, I really like how there was the scene or the whole episode with Ellie. It was her name Ellie
Yeah,
in the like whenever she was fighting off that cult leader. That was I really loved that episode.
I did too. Listen, when I first started watching and they were like, "Her name's Veronica." I was like, "What? Her name is what?"
Oh, so they
No,
got
it's
that
not.
wrong.
No, 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 no. In the game, it was never like they never dove that deep into the game. They just added that on as a I wouldn't really know what you call that. I'm having like a brain fart right now.
Yeah.
But they added that on in the show.
How did it make
And
you feel that the actual voice actor for Ellie was, the mom in the show? I mean, how did that make you feel as somebody who was attached to the game series?
I mean, I love that she was in there. I love that they actually like allowed her to play some part in the show. It definitely made it a lot better for me.
You know, I guess let's branch off of that. You talked about Last of Us being such a iconic game for you. Let's just go ahead and continue down that rabbit hole of games that you really enjoy playing. Because I'd say there's a pretty strong variety in what you play. Because I mean, you got like you said, The Last of Us, and you play the survival games with me. But whenever I think of games that you really enjoyed, I think of Dishonored, and I also think of We Happy Few. If you want to touch on either one of those.
Oh, I love We Happy Few. I have been meaning to get back into playing it. I think I even ended up getting the all the DLCs for it and finishing them. I It's definitely a different game. Um it's I don't really know how to explain it. It's just one of those things that's like really um what am I thinking of? I'm sorry. My
It's
mind's
a
blank.
good storytelling experience, you're living through their story.
Well, I mean, yeah, but it's just it's a lot different. It's the setup of the game and how they designed it and everything is a lot different too. It's kinda like those, like, 70s vibes from the
Yeah.
game. Most definitely.
I feel like We Happy Few would have made a fantastic book. Like, I'm not a reader, but I feel like that would have made an amazing, especially Arthur's story. I feel like the people who wrote that story out, they just and you got to think too. That's a really small studio that made that game, and you know, it's my opinion. I just feel like indie game developers, we talked about 7 Days, you got We Happy Few. All these games are made by such small creators, and you compare them to like let's say like a AAA game like Call of Duty. You got to think of how much more that we are enjoying these small indie games. It just really blows my mind how well that they do and the storytelling. And granted, 7 Days doesn't have a story to it, but like We Happy Few, it's such a really unique story. That like dystopia where you have to take pills to not see the world has gone like downhill. It's just really unique to see them able to craft such a like in such a story that you get obsessed with. Uh, but I want to branch off and talk about what you it's kind of funny too. You've been playing a lot of Red Dead Redemption and 2, and of course I've played it and beat it all the way through. And I try to keep up with you because I'm excited for you because I have played it all the way through. But every time I try to see what chapter you're on, you're just like, I just been killing animals.
Jesus. I mean, yeah, it's true. Listen, that game also got spoiled for me, and I know what happens, and I got really attached to Arthur, and I cannot bring myself for the life of me to continue on in that story because I know what happens, and I'm like, we gotta avoid it. I think it got to the point to where they were one of the people in the game, like, I think his name is Javier, had came out and found me on the map and was like, "Hey, are you okay?" Because I wasn't doing the storyline, and he was like, "Are you okay? Dutch sent me to come look for you." And I was just like, "Oh, is this my sign that I need to be doing the storyline?" I don't know, I mean, I like all the things that, that's added into the game. There was, like, for example, there's this, house out in the heavily wooded areas. I can't think of what it's called, but inside of it, if you go inside, there's like this weird, like deer bear, like man looking thing inside the house, and it's like some kind of like weird sciency, like that got like abandoned kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know what building you're talking about.
Yes, and I always thought that was really cool. I always try to find it and go back there and see it. Um, I also like the little thing that they did with, like, the aliens. I don't
Yeah.
know if you've seen that one or not. That was pretty cool, getting to see that.
Okay, and this is something I just found out the other day because of a Facebook reel. But have you found Bigfoot on there yet, or the Sasquatch?
I don't know. I feel
Okay,
like I have.
there's a scene where you can find Bigfoot and he talks to you. He's like, I wish you humans would leave me alone. You've killed my kind for years. And like there's a whole exchange with Bigfoot. And it's funny because on GTA 5, that same creators made GTA 5 as Red Dead. There's actually a mission, a Strangers and Freaks mission, where you can find a Sasquatch and about the same interaction happens with another Sasquatch on there. It's like, I can't believe you're still killing my people. It's basically the same thing that was said to your character in Red Dead. So they branched that together. I thought that was really cool.
You know what's terrible?
Huh.
I'd kill him too so he could go join them.
Oh my god.
If you're that concerned about it, you can go join them.
Oh my
Betty.
god. So if there's another Red Dead Redemption or Red Dead Redemption 3, or is that something you're gonna want to play, or is it kind of like gonna be like Last of Us 2 where it's gonna be ruined for you?
I don't know. I mean, maybe if they did it all like a spin-off of like Sadie, I think her name is Sadler, the lady that you find in the house that the O'Driscolls,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
killed, like, maybe if it's a spinoff of her, I would be willing to play it, or, I think her name is Nellie? I think it's the, who am I thinking of? I can't I can't think of her name. It
Ye
starts with an N, I think.
yeah, yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I really liked her too, but I definitely really like Sadie from, you know, from where she started out as, the widowed wife who was,
Yeah, a victim.
yeah, a victim, her husband became a widow, and then, like, she's suddenly now this, like, fucking rock, like, just I don't know, like, just girl bossing her way through everything. I'm here for it.
She's like Bo Peep in Toy Story 4 or 5, whichever one that was.
Oh god, they make so many of those movies.
Uh,
They need to stop making movies after, like, the 5th freaking movie that they come out with, because it just gets repetitive at a certain point.
I don't know, I feel like horror movies are the worst about that because, like, I'm just
Oh,
now
I
getting into
agree.
horror movies and, like, I'm like, "Hey, coworker, what's the best, what's the best Halloween movie to watch?" He's like, "There's, like, 7 of them." I'm like, "Geez." He's, like, the same way with, like, what is it? I think it's the Freddy Krueger ones. No, it's whoever was the Jason Voorhees. He's like, "Yeah, there's, like, 7 of them too, but really only the first, like, 3 are good." And there's just so many horror movies. But I wanna get back I wanna ask one more question about Red Dead. With what direction could you see them taking? Because we see that they aren't really following a timeline I mean, they are, but they aren't. I would say it's not a forward-moving timeline because with Red Dead 1, of course, you're playing as,
John
John
Marston.
Marston, yeah, and it's after the events of Red Dead 2. So Red Dead 2 backs it up to it's the predecessor, the story at least is to Red Dead 1. It's very confusing. It's like Red Dead 2 is actually supposed to be Red Dead 1. So with them jumping around in the timeline, what could you see them doing for Red Dead 3?
What if they did it to where, like, it was whenever, like, if we were gonna follow this kind of, thing that they're doing where they're jumping back and forth in between timelines, what if they did it to when, Dutch, uh, what's his name? Uh,
Vanderlyn? Oh, Hosea?
Hosea? Yes, Hosea and, Arthur got together.
Hmm.
What if they went back and did that, and you got to play as, like, either Dutch or, Hosea,
Yeah,
and kinda see, like, when Arthur got, like, introduced to it, because I think at one point he briefly touched on, like, I think it was, like, in a bar scene or something, he was like, "Yeah, I've been married or not married once, but I loved a woman once, had a son and lost him, and then ended up, where he was at then." I think is how it went.
yeah. You know what I could see? I could see them doing like and I don't know how far back they would go, but I could see them doing like a whole prequel to like Arthur being with Dutch Vanderlyn because even at the start of the game, or I wouldn't really say the start, but whenever you get to the main area of the map, you find out that Arthur did some big job in Blackwater, and that's why you can't go there as Arthur. So there was already some sort of big event that happened before that, and it would be lame to, like, kinda follow his childhood, but at the same time, it wouldn't be because, like, I don't know, I feel like a lot of people like the mindless things of, like, being on a ranch and stuff because you kind of get the feel of that whenever you first play as John Marston. He kind of, like, does all the ranch jobs and everything.
I can't really speak on that because I never played Red Dead Redemption, like the first one.
Oh, I'm
I've
talking
only played
about,
the second.
the end of the second
But
one, which you haven't made it to.
oh, yeah, I haven't made it to that. Well, I mean, I've seen it briefly, but, uh, honestly, I don't like John Marston. I think he's not he's not a character that I really care for,
Mm.
to be quite honest. I mean, I don't know, maybe he decides to come around and be a better person. I don't know,
Well,
but
yeah, that's actually, that's actually the whole premise of Red Dead 2, that the end is, after Arthur passes away, that John Marston sees that, Dutch was crooked this whole time, and John even blames Dutch for, Arthur getting in such bad shape. And
as he should.
when John leaves the gang and runs off with I can't remember, Mary Kate, I think.
It's that little boy's mom, ain't it?
Yeah, yeah, I think her name's Mary Kay, uh, and Uncle Bill. So whenever he runs off, he goes and buys the ranch, and that's basically what he does. Is he basically wants to live a normal good Samaritan life, just taking care of the ranch, taking care of his son and Mary Kay, and that's kind of how the game ends pretty much. Well, it ends with the beginning of Red Dead 1 where he gets like rolled up on by like a gang, and he goes to bounty hunt all of them. But yeah, that's kind of how Red Dead 2 ends, is John being a better person and him being a father. And he's basically doing it for Arthur, which is a beautiful thing. And there's even like, if you do some of the odd side missions, I guess it would be, uh the characters dialogue actually changes. Like I think there's one where you hunt, you take photos for a guy. And there's one where he's like, yeah, uh, an old, Arthur used to help me with this, and then John's like, yeah, that I lost my friend, and I want to continue doing this for you because I want to continue his legacy. It's very poetic in that way.
Yeah, I could see that. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't really played the whole, like you know as well, I haven't really played the whole game through, but it is definitely probably one of my favorite games. I like being able to just go out, find like random dinosaur bones or something, or kill like a legendary animal.
That is really fun, and the fishing too. It's fun to have those like rewarding things to go out and do. That's something that really drew me to the game, because you don't have to follow the story. I mean, clearly you don't have to. You don't, but
I
there's
do.
a lot of. I mean, it's like a whole nother game going out and doing the other stuff that isn't the main story.
Yeah.
I think you would really like Grand Theft Auto 5 story. I really like it. It has a very good story. You don't have, I mean, you obviously can't go. You can go hunt, but it's not the same as Red Dead. But like you can do those weird side missions, and there's a lot to do on there, and it's made by the same people. The storytelling's really cool, and it's cool to see how unhinged and crazy Trevor is.
I'd seen this one clip on TikTok, and I guess it was something about him not getting paid at fair wages, so he kidnapped his wife
Oh my god.
or something like that. Oh my gosh, that had me laughing so hard. It was like relatable. Not that I would ever kidnap anybody's wife, but it's just
Yeah,
funny.
yeah. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I mean, other than that, that's kinda what you've been into here as of late. I I do know there was a whole kick with you playing Dishonored, but I don't really know much about that game, so I don't really know how much I could speak on it.
Imma be honest, it was a pretty good game. I it's been a while since I played it, so my memory of it is a little bit hazy because 'cause it's been, like, years, but it is I mean, I would recommend it for anybody. I've played, I think, the first one and the second one, where I think the first one is the bodyguard you play as, and you're having to go save, like, the queen's daughter. And then the second one is about, like, the daughter all grown up, and she's, like, having to fight for her spot as queen or something like that. I don't know. I just think it's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely.
I like setting people up for, like, the rat traps, most definitely, where they walk in them and then they all just get, like, obliterated. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten people to do that. Or not people, but the, uh NPCs to do that. They'll go walking in there. They'll go, "Huh?" And then they just get swarmed by a bunch of diseased rats, and I'm like, "Ha."
Kinda like Plague Tale.
Oh god, I love Plague Tale. Yes. Maybe I have listen.
Oh, now that you have, like, a way better computer, I bet you can run Plague Tale pretty well now if you wanted to ever play the second one.
Yeah, I really like that first one, though. I don't know, I'm not big on, like, uh sequels of games, or I mean, even that even runs into, like, movies as well. Because I always feel like the sequels are just so poorly done because the first one did, like, such a great job, and the sequels just are kind of a letdown.
Yeah, my hopes for Arc 2 are very, very, very low. I was going through my wish list on Steam, and I noticed that had added Arc like 2 years ago, Arc 2 2 years ago, and the more I like look at it, and the more I've heard about it, I'm just my hopes are not. I think my hopes are rock bottom. I'm just like
Oh, that's unfortunate. I know you were looking forward to it.
yeah, but Arc 1 was just so good. It's really hard to beat something like that. I mean, Eminem has a bar about it or a lyric about it. They every time he comes out, they people expect him to reinvent the wheel, and it's just like, yeah, I kind of get that with a lot of things. It's hard to if you do so well during the very beginning, it's really hard to follow up. And even if you do have a halfway decent game, if your first game was like out of this world, it's not going to compare. I feel like that a lot of titles suffer from that. Like I mean, I know you wouldn't really be able to say much about this, but like Battlefield 4 is like the peak, the best Battlefield. Black Ops 2, Black Ops 3 were like some of the best Call of Duty titles, and now we might be getting decent COD games. It's just in comparison to what we've gotten in the past. It's just like my God, like give me that give me that old nostalgia again. Yeah, there is very few games where it's just like I'm super excited for the next one because the last one was so incredible. I mean, Sons of the Forest was pretty good. I would actually say Sons of the Forest, in my opinion, was better than the first one. There's a lot more to do. There's a lot more story. Kelvin's cool, even though I rag on him all the time.
Yeah. I'm gonna be honest. I really like Call of Duty Ghosts, and I know a lot of people shit on that game, but listen, okay, I was here for it, but I know quite a few people, like, shit on it though, and I'm always just kinda, like, in the background, I'm like, "It's not really that bad." At least
Jordan
I don't think it was.
Jordan would be losing his mind right now.
I'm sure he would, but he
No,
ain't here right now.
he was the OG Ghost supporter. Like everybody hated
Oh,
on
thank
Ghosts,
God.
and he was like, he never hated on it. He was always like, "Y'all are dumb.
Like
Like
like,
Ghosts is
I
where it's
liked
at."
it. I don't know why so many people just, absolutely just hated it so much, and I didn't see it. I feel like okay, here's what I think happened. I feel like one person who was famous didn't like the game, so then everyone else was just like, "Oh, I don't like this game because it's terrible," and they just did, like, a whole bandwagon thing, and it just kinda, like, snowballed from there. I do not think it was that I don't even think it was bad. I enjoyed it
No, I know
a lot.
exactly why Ghosts was hated on is because the game before that was the best COD game of all time, Call of Duty Black Ops 2. It's like I was saying, it's just like in comparison, there's no. I mean, I don't think any COD game holds a candle to Black Ops 2. That was peak Call of Duty. I know you didn't. I don't think you got to play Black Ops 2. If you did, it was just zombies. Black Ops 2 was like it don't get no better than Black Ops. Like it's like you got Raising Cane's and then you got like I don't know, McDonald's. Like that's the comparison. It's oh my god, it don't get much better than Black Ops 2. And it sucks because COD Ghosts had to follow that up, which golly, that's like it's insanely hard to come off that high into like, like, dang, this is garbage. But it wasn't really. They had and I'm not sure if you played it, but they actually made Michael Myers a real game inside of because this was before your time. Well, not really, but you didn't really get to experience this. But back in Modern Warfare 2, people would set up lobbies, Michael Myers lobbies. It's like where it's kind of like infected in a way. Actually, it's just like infected, but at the end, whoever's last alive gets a gun and can kill Michael Myers. It's a lot of fun, but COD Ghosts actually made that into a real game mode, so you didn't have to like custom games it in. You know what I mean?
That's pretty cool. I didn't know.
Yeah, I think they even added in no, they didn't have a Michael Myers skin. Michael Myers was wearing a ghillie suit, which was kinda, they had to do what they had to do, I guess.
I guess that sounds kind of tacky, but
Yeah. But, I mean, that was back in 2013, so, I mean, the technology was not there, I guess. Nowadays, freaking Cardi B or Nicki Minaj has their own skin in Call of Duty. I mean, it's kinda crazy.
We have the technology.
We really do.
Oh my lord.
Well, I really appreciate you joining me, Trish, and I hope that we can have you on again sometime. It's been awesome talking to you, hanging out with you, and yeah, I really appreciate you coming on and talking on the show with us with me.
Course, I'm gonna be honest though, I feel a little bit awkward because this is my first time doing anything like this. But yeah,
It
I
is
had
all good.
fun. It was very awkward for me in the beginning because I was like, oh,
No, you're all
like
good.
I don't know what to say.
You just
But
let the conversation flow, and I meant to say this at the very beginning, but, of course, if you if you have made it to the end, if you do hear her or me in either mics, we are very close to each other, so I'm very sorry about that, but, yeah, we're like we're inseparable, people, what can I say? We're inseparable. So, yeah, so, yeah, like I said, I really enjoyed having you on, and, I guess with that being said, people, we will catch you in the next one.
deuces.